Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we will discuss one of the most famous novels of all time, Gone with the Wind, by Margaret Mitchell. The book was published in 1936 and is set in the American South during the Civil War and Reconstruction eras. It follows the story of Scarlett O'Hara, a young woman who lives on a large plantation in Georgia with her family and her mother. The book begins with a picnic that is being held on the grounds of the O'Hara family home. The picnic is being hosted by the neighboring plantation owners, the Wilkes family, and it is being attended by many of the prominent members of society from the surrounding area. Among the guests are Ashley Wilkes, a young man who is engaged to Melanie Hamilton, and his cousin Charles Hamilton, who is in love with Scarlett O'Hara. However, Scarlett does not reciprocate his feelings and instead becomes engaged to his brother, Frank Kennedy. As the novel opens, there is already tension between the two families, as Ashley has chosen Melanie over Scarlett, causing her great distress. As the novel progresses, this tension will only grow as the Civil War begins to rage across the country. When the war breaks out, the men of the South are called to arms, and many of the women are left behind to manage the plantations in their absence. Scarlett is one such woman, but she's not content to simply sit back and let things happen to her. She's a strong-willed and determined individual who is not afraid to speak her mind or stand up for what she believes in. This is evident when she refuses to accept the proposal of a man named Stuart Tarleton, who is a blockade runner that is trying to make money off of the war. Scarlett knows that Stuart is only interested in her for her money, and she is not about to give him the time of day. She tells him bluntly that he is only after her money and that she would never marry him. As the war continues, Scarlett becomes increasingly frustrated with the situation in the South and the lack of progress that is being made. She begins to resent the upper-class society women who she feels are doing nothing to help the war effort. She feels that they are selfish and self-centered, and she believes that they should be doing more to help the soldiers who are fighting on the front lines. One day, Scarlett meets a wounded soldier named Rhett Butler. Rhett is a former British Army officer who has been fighting for the Confederacy since the war began. He is injured and needs help getting back to his unit, so Scarlett takes him in and nurses him back to health. As they spend time together, Scarlett begins to develop feelings for Rhett that she has never felt before. She is drawn to his confidence and charm, as well as his willingness to fight for what he believes in. In a moment of passion, they sleep together, and Scarlett realizes that she has fallen in love with him. However, their relationship is doomed from the start, as Rhett is a blockade runner and a member of the lower class, while Scarlett is a member of the upper class. Their two worlds are very different, and there is a lot of pressure on them to keep their relationship a secret. Additionally, Scarlett is still engaged to Frank Kennedy, and she feels torn between her duty to him and her feelings for Rhett Butler. As the war continues, things become more and more difficult for the people in the South, and the economy begins to collapse. People are struggling to find food and supplies, and many are dying from disease and starvation. Scarlett is determined to do whatever it takes to survive, and she uses her wit and charm to get what she needs. She's able to secure food and supplies for herself and her family, and she becomes known as the woman who can get anything she wants. Meanwhile, the war is coming to an end, and the Confederacy is on the verge of defeat. As the end of the war approaches, Scarlett becomes increasingly desperate to secure her future and that of her family. She knows that things will never be the same again, and she is determined to make sure that she is in a good position when the new world order is established. She makes a series of strategic moves, including marrying Frank Kennedy, which allows her to take over his family's plantation when he dies. She also begins to develop a relationship with a wealthy businessman named Nathan Bedford Forrest. As the war finally comes to an end, Scarlett is left with a mixed bag of emotions. On one hand, she is relieved that the fighting is over and that she and her family have survived. But on the other hand, she knows that the South will never be the same again, and that she must now face the challenges of rebuilding her life. In the aftermath of the war, Scarlett finds herself in a precarious position. She is married to Frank, but she still has feelings for Rhett. She is living on the family plantation, but it has been severely damaged by the war, and she is surrounded by people who are struggling to rebuild their lives. Despite these challenges, Scarlett is determined to make the best of her situation, and she throws herself into the task of rebuilding her life. She works tirelessly to restore the plantation to its former glory, and she helps the people around her to do the same. As time goes on, Scarlett's relationship with Frank grows, and she eventually comes to love him. However, she still cannot forget about Rhett and their brief but passionate affair. She finds herself torn between her duty to Frank and her feelings for Rhett, and she doesn't know what to do. Years pass, and Scarlett and Frank have a son together, but their relationship is still strained by Scarlett's feelings for Rhett. She is unable to move on from their past, and she finds herself constantly comparing Frank to Rhett. Eventually, Frank realizes that he can never truly replace Rhett in Scarlett's heart, and he gives her a divorce. After her divorce is finalized, Scarlett is free to pursue a relationship with Rhett, but he has already moved on and is in a relationship with another woman. Despite this, Scarlett is determined to win him back, and she throws herself into trying to make him jealous. She dresses provocatively, flirts with other men, and does everything she can to get his attention. Eventually, her efforts pay off, and Rhett leaves his girlfriend to be with Scarlett once again. The two are finally free to pursue a relationship without any obstacles in their way. However, their happiness is short-lived, as Scarlett soon becomes pregnant, and Rhett is not the father. When he finds out, he is furious with Scarlett, and he accuses her of deliberately deceiving him. Scarlett is devastated by his reaction, and she tries to explain that she did not mean to deceive him, but he will not listen. He leaves her and their child and returns to Europe, leaving Scarlett to deal with the scandal on her own. Scarlett is now a single mother, and she must raise her child alone. She is determined to be a good mother, but she is also struggling to come to terms with the loss of Rhett. She spends a lot of time thinking about what could have been and wondering if things would have turned out differently if she had made different decisions in the past. The novel ends with Scarlett realizing that she still loves Rhett and wants him back. She resolves to go to Europe and find him, but the ending is left open-ended, and the reader is left to wonder whether or not she will be successful in her quest. So what is the main idea of the book Gone with the Wind? It is a story of survival, resilience, and the power of love. Set against the backdrop of the American Civil War and Reconstruction, the novel follows the lives of the O'Hara family and their struggles to survive the tumultuous period in American history. Through it all, Scarlett emerges as a strong and resourceful woman who is able to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Her determination to protect her family and their way of life is admirable and inspiring, and ultimately the novel is a testament to the human spirit and our ability to endure, even in the darkest of times. What are some of the themes explored in Gone with the Wind? One of the major themes of Gone with the Wind is survival. The characters in the novel are faced with a number of obstacles, both natural and man-made, and they must use all of their resources to stay alive. This includes the physical struggle to find food and shelter, as well as the emotional and psychological toll of living in a war-torn country. Another important theme is resilience. Even when the characters are faced with seemingly insurmountable odds, they never give up hope. They find ways to adapt and overcome each new challenge that they face. This is exemplified by Scarlett's refusal to surrender in the face of adversity. A third major theme is the power of love. Love is a powerful force in the novel that can inspire great acts of courage and selflessness. it can also be a source of great pain and suffering. The love story between Scarlett and Rhett is a central part of the novel, and it explores both the positive and negative aspects of love. All right, this brings us to the end of our session. Thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop learning.